Good morning, fine people out in Facebook and YouTube land. This is Pastor Todd with your weekly video meditation. First, let's talk about the happenings around Unity Hill UCC this week. So the Sunday coming up is November 1st. That's All Saints Sunday. So we'll be celebrating the lives of our saints, those that have gone on before us and left us a legacy of hard work for the church, hard work for the country, hard work for the gospel of Jesus Christ. So you still have time to get your names in of those that you'd like to celebrate, so you can get a hold of us here at the office. Joanne will take that name and we'll be sure to say it out loud and remember them. Office number is 203-374-8822. But it's the 21st century. There's several other ways to get a hold of us and let us know that name. So give us a name, give us your name and the relationship that you have. I always remember my grandmother, Carrie Cooper, other grandparents, Helen Shipley and Leonard Shipley, my Imago Days, my images of God, so they'll be celebrated as well. So please get a hold of us if you'd like us to say that name. Look ahead at the Bible verse and the worship topic. I've already said, of course, it's All Saints Sunday, so that's the main topic. And in order to do that, we're going to look at Revelation and talk about saints from that perspective. This is Revelation 7, 9 through 17. After this I looked, and there was a great crowd that no one could number. They were from every nation, tribe, people, and language. They were standing before the throne and before the Lamb. They wore white robes and held palm branches in their hands. They cried out with a loud voice, "Victory belongs to our God who sits on the throne and to the Lamb." All the angels stood in a circle around the throne and around the elders and the four living creatures. They fell face down before the throne and worshiped God, saying, "Amen, blessing and glory, and wisdom and thanksgiving and honor and power and might be to our God forever and always. Amen." Then one of the elders said to me, "Who are these people wearing white robes, and where did they come from?" I said to him, "Sir, I think you know." Then he said to me, "These people have come out of great hardship. They have washed their robes and made them white in the Lamb's blood. This is the reason they are before God's throne. They worship him day and night in his temple, and the one seated on the throne will shelter them. They won't hunger or thirst anymore. No sun or scorching heat will beat down on them, because the Lamb who is in the midst of the throne will shepherd them. He will lead them to the springs of life-giving water, and God will wipe away every tear from their eyes." That's full of powerful imagery that helps us see the nature of those that stand before God after the human life is over. They've worked. They've been brave, they've sacrificed. Of course, the saints of old, and I'm sure people around the world have struggled even to the point of their own deaths to promote and propound the gospel of Jesus Christ. So the title of the sermon is Prophets and Outlaws. And the reason I titled the sermon that way, and please come to hear the whole thing if you're interested, but that saints, we think of someone saintly often. The image we have is someone who is perfect in the eyes of the world too, that doesn't break the law, doesn't sin. And it only takes a cursory examination of the lives of many saints that are popular. There's not a big book of saints that include our grandmothers and people that have changed our lives. But the ones whose lives are documented writ large, they were sinners. They were in the beginning. But they believed that there was something deeper and more meaningful in the world than just human power, and they strived and they struggled. And often, they were outlaws. They were certainly considered prophets, telling us what we needed to do to truly be living in the light of the goodness of God. And we must follow their example. So talk for a few minutes on this Sunday about the nature of prophets and outlaws and how we are often called to be those two things as well as we follow Jesus Christ. So that's the look ahead. I conclude with our racial equity moment. As I've said before, the Pentecost, which is coming to a close. I look at the calendar and I see that it's only about 4 more Sundays left in Pentecost. So we've traveled through a dictionary of racial equity terms, and these are an attempt to just give you some concepts, put words to some concepts that will help us cultivate racial equity in our country, our church, community, and country. So the term this week is accountability, and I want to make sure that what I accomplish in this moment is at least that there is a hard distinction between accountability and blame. Accountability is not blame. When someone is accountable, in the strictest sense of the term, in the spiritual sense of the term, the one we need to carry from this moment, is that there's a role that we play in any form of fight, disagreement, trauma, and I'll speak a little bit more about that after I read you the definition and example. In the context of racial equity work, accountability refers to the ways in which individuals and communities hold themselves to their goals and actions and acknowledge the values and groups to which they are responsible. To be accountable, one must be visible with a transparent agenda and process. Invisibility defies examination. It is, in fact, employed in order to avoid detection and examination. Accountability demands commitment. It might be defined as what kicks in when convenience runs out. Accountability requires some sense of urgency and becoming a true stakeholder in the outcome. Accountability can be externally imposed, legal or organizational requirements, or internally applied, moral, relational, faith-based, or recognized as some combination of the two. On a continuum from the institutional and organizational level to the individual level. From a relational point of view, accountability is not always doing it right. Sometimes it's really about what happens after it's done wrong. So we're accountable to our values. Again, it is not blame. It is not saying it's all my fault. I did it. I perpetrated this. Accountability is considering what you value, what you say you're committed to, and then holding yourself accountable to those values. And one of the glorious things about a relationship with God through Christ, the power of light, love, and life called God understands that we are fallible, imperfect, and have sometimes let our more baser instincts or desires come to the fore. And we identify that and are forgiven, and we are offered another chance to be accountable to our expressed values, understood values. So I'm just going to say, I love this last part. It really puts it in perspective. From a relational point of view, accountability is not always doing it right. Sometimes it's really about what happens after it's done wrong. So I engage you or challenge you to just a thought experiment to make this sink maybe deeper into our active memory, and we can use this in our daily lives, this concept of accountability. Just want you to think back to a disagreement, an argument, where you felt righteous, that you were right. And in that disagreement, find what you are accountable for in that disagreement. What did you do to contribute to that disagreement, and what did you do after the disagreement? So keeping this definition in mind, consider a fight, disagreement you've had, and how you're accountable to the fact that it happened and what happened afterwards. This is not to make you feel bad or make you get mired in your sinful nature, but to learn and to move on. So there's your weekly video meditation. I want to say a special hello to some of those folks I met this last Saturday. Just to meet some folks in the community, we handed out Halloween safety kits and met 3 beautiful families with beautiful kids. And I'm going to be sending an email with an invitation to watch this video meditation So if you're watching, hello, we hope to see you in the church. Until we meet again, many, many blessings on you, your family,